Alright guys, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I'm currently back here at home station, but we're actually going to be getting back on the road here and heading right back towards the uh, the weather again. All everywhere in the purple right here across portions of Minnesota, all of Iowa has an advisory or warning out for them. Northern Missouri, Western Illinois. So what we're focusing on is Southwest Wisconsin in our area, Iowa, and Western Illinois. Um, Western Illinois right here could see anywhere between a zero point 0.1 or up to a tenth of an inch, or maybe up to 2/10 of an inch of ice accumulation is possible, um, starting probably around midnight until Saturday morning. The worst is going to be in the early morning commute if you guys are traveling on I-80 westbound or 74. Um, any of these major highways, just be very careful, especially the side roads, be untreated. They will glaze over and become icy roads. You will slide off. Do not try to speed. Black ice is very dangerous. But here's just one of the advisories here across the area. Up to 1/10 of an inch or even 2/10 of an inch is possible. And winds gusting up to 35 miles an hour for the advisory across portions of western Illinois. And then we have the ice storm warning here in the purple area here, shaded across portions of central eastern Iowa. And it keeps expanding in size here. For I think Iowa City is going to get hit the hardest. They're saying anywhere between 2/10 to 3/10 of an inch of ice accumulation and 35-mile winds is possible. I still think that some of the forecast models are still showing higher than that. There's a possibility that someone could see higher than those accumulations that are being spoken about. So that's the purple area right here, and the ice storm warning there. And you got major routes here. You got 380 here. You got I-80 here. Is going to be in one heck of some disaster. I think is going to unfold on I-80. Especially with moderate to heavy freezing rain when it comes down and it freezes on contact, especially on the bridges. We're definitely going to have some icy scenarios here unfold. People probably getting stuck on the ramps, can't get up the ramps because it's too icy. Truckers getting stuck on hills. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. I really think so. Um, be cautious late tonight if you're traveling on I-80. Especially around midnight going into Saturday morning. It's going to be a really terrible commute, especially with the temperatures and everything else. So let's go ahead and jump into a couple of these forecast models here, just explaining in depth currently what's going on. So we'll start off with the NDFD forecast model. Here we go down here to Iowa. And here we are. So we're going to look at the temperatures here. So around the accumulation that starts is probably around 3 or 4 p.m. But you notice the temperatures right now are in the low 20s, the low to mid 20s. So the ground is going to be really, really cold to start off with when the rain and freeze rain starts falling. By the time when precipitation is actually starting to fall, sometime after midnight, temperatures will still be in the 20s, upper 20s, which is going to lead to a lot of chaos, especially with the accumulation of the freezing rain. So this is accumulation by the NDFD forecast model, showing 2/10 to 3/10 of an inch of ice accumulation is possible, basically from Iowa City up to Cedar, up to Waterloo. All this area right here is going to see some good amounts of freezing rain. So be very cautious, I would say, especially on the I-80 corridor right here. Yeah, I-80 here is going to get wrecked by freezing rain. So just be very, very cautious here. Another forecast model I do like looking at is the Canadian model as well. Canadian hasn't updated, it's on the 18Z still, but it shows a different scenario. I don't know if this scenario is going to play out, but it is pretty heavier on the western Illinois side and also eastern Iowa. So I don't know, it seems like an outlier to me. We got the national blend model as well. Here's the national blend model, showing anywhere between 2/10 to 3/10 of an inch of icing, even showing 2/10 there across portions of western Illinois. This is the national blend model. We got the HER model. That was to her, right? Oh. 00Z has started. Oh, interesting. So here's the 00Z Her model, the latest run. Showing some very heavy freezing rain precipitation down there across the Missouri-Iowa border. I don't know if that scenario is going to play out. I think there has to be a happy medium on where the best freezer and the heaviest freezing rain is going to fall, because you also have to balance out your cold temperatures. Even if a lot of freezing rain falls, if your temperatures are like 32 degrees up and higher, it's not really going to freeze on contact instantly. You need temperatures between like 28 to 31, really closer to that 29 or 28, where you get that really strong icing on the roads. As soon as the freezing rain falls, it freezes on contact instantly, especially when you have moderate rain falling and when it's 28 degrees out. I mean, you get that really big time freezing rain effect and creates icy conditions. 32 degrees and above is just not going to cut it. So, I mean, the Her model could be off here. I think the worst case scenario for this stuff to actually unfold, I think, is between Cedar and Iowa City is going to get really hit hard. Any cars out on these roads are going to be really hard to get up the ramps or down the ramps or even on those turnabouts. It's going to be very difficult, especially on those elevated surfaces with the winds at 35 miles an hour gusts, and you still get that wind chill effect as well. It's going to cool off a lot of that elevated surfaces. But yeah, I think the Her is a little bit off on positioning. Wherever that heavy transition line does fall, there could be a case scenario of like moderate to very heavy freezing rain falling, but then you want to be north of that where it's cooler with those temperatures. So if we go here and look at the Her model and see the positioning here, it shows scattered freezing rain. These northerly bands are way out to the north. It's going to be where your colder temperatures at the surface are going to be away from the transition line. Yeah, it's going to set the stage for some very icy conditions here going into Iowa City to Cedar. And this looks like a long-term event too. Yeah, it looks like a long-term event. That's the freezing rain. That's just based on the Her model. European model does have worst case scenario for Cedar and Iowa City as well. And it's been very consistent lately, so I kind of lean towards the European model on this. European model has upwards almost a half an inch plus of ice centered over central eastern Iowa. And that's a bullseye of almost an inch of ice accumulation there between Cedar and Iowa City right there. And that's just on a European forecast model. And I-80 runs right through the heaviest here. You go from like 3/10 to a half an inch into an inch. So that's just a European forecast model. If we backtrack this to the 12Z run, and the 06Z run, it's just been uptrending and being very consistent on the bullseye of the area here. So I mean, it's very consistent here that the European model is showing how heavy the ice accumulation is going to be. I do like the positioning on this because the European does agree on the positioning based on the NDFD forecast model, where the heaviest is going to fall is kind of in these counties, especially where the ice storm warning is. So I think the European NDFD, a couple of the other models as well. Let's see here. Here's the FA3 model. It's not fully updated. Like I say, here's the 00Z Her, obviously. You got a Her just paints a crazy scenario, and then you got the the European model, which creates a scary scenario over portions of basically Iowa City. Two-seater, yeah. The RFS model obviously isn't here anymore for right now. Just kind of checking over all these other forecasts. Models all have a different scenario, but they all show moderate to heavy freezing rain over the same area that everything's talking about. All central eastern Iowa, western Illinois, closest to Illinois-Iowa border. Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. This is the first ice storm in Iowa since 650 days has been posted in the state of Iowa, so it's been a while since they had a ice storm warning. This is the official first ice storm warning of the year. So it's gonna be very interesting. They could expand this ice storm warning further east or further west, or indefinitely further south, up till the event that starts tonight at midnight. So we'll see if they expand the boxes. They already expanded from way earlier today. But like I said, it's gonna be very interesting. These major corridors here. These major corridors right here. So along I-80 here, going through Iowa City. A lot of this is these bridges. So these loops right here. You see these loops right here? Everyone's gonna get stuck on these ramps. In Iowa City, you get these loops, these long loops here. You go slightly inclined, you get some ice elevated on those elevated bridges and loops. It's gonna be hectic. I mean, you're not gonna be able to get around, especially any hills. You're getting stuck on hills. I mean, you're sliding up and down the hills. So, if anybody knows where there's a lot of hills and roads at in Iowa City, I would definitely just avoid them. Yeah, it's not gonna be pleasant. So like I think the hardest hit areas is gonna be 1. I would avoid this road Saturday morning, especially 30. 30 is gonna get really hit hard here. 151. You got 6 down here. I would stick to the interstates. It's probably your best bet unless it becomes so heavy at once and it just accumulates the freezing rain and it just freezes instantly during the coldest temperatures, especially the ramps. But they should take care of the main interstates. But like these side roads, these other highways, I would definitely just watch out for them. It's gonna be bad. And then don't forget about Waterloo either. Waterloo has a lot of bridges and elevated stuff. So you're definitely gonna have issues here, especially along here. 20, yep. Alright guys, well, I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be live out there, of course, and it's gonna be very interesting, but stay tuned.